Hi, this is Julie from the Scraps of My Life. I am here this video is to show you how to um, create the album pages for the Prima album that I did with the paper line, the romance novel. Um, that album I created with envelopes. And these are card size envelopes. They are 5¼ by 7¼ so they're fairly large, but they're perfect to fold right in half and use as pages for your album. So I'm going to show you how I did that. And since this board, it does not have all the markings that you would actually need, what I do, the easiest way is just to fold it in half yourself, pinch it, and then take it to the board and do it. The first thing you want to do before you do that, though, is to seal your envelope, and you want to seal it beyond the sticky that they have. You want to go all the way across because you don't want this coming apart at all. And it's okay just to do it, right at the top. You don't have to go all the way down as far as they have it. So you just want to be sure that the edge, be sure you get the edge from end to end, side to side, whatever you want to, however you interpret that, and then you seal it like so. Be sure it's good and sealed. Let me get this excess tape I've got off here, glue, whatever. So you want a nice sealed edge. You don't want it popping up on you, okay? And that's going to make for a nice firm page, okay? All right, so now you just, like I said, fold it in half, which I've already done, and then I just take it to my scoreboard here and score it since it makes a cleaner fold. Okay, like that. And then some people say that you should fold it on the protruding line. I just fold it right here like this is, like so. And and remember you're doing, a double four thicknesses there, basically. So you want to be sure everything's nice and even. And then you're going to come out from the center. I always start at the center, especially when I'm folding more than one width layer at a time. And you want to make a nice crisp crease there, okay? And that's your page. And then what you're going to do is take it to your cutter. And these pages, I created them to have pockets on the sides. So you're just going to shearly trim off just a tiny bit off the edge, just enough to open it. That's all you want. You don't want to take off any inches. You just want to open it. Hopefully that was good. You can always take more off, but you can't put any back. So you can see that's about as little as you can get off of something, I think. Just a little thicker than a hair width, just a tiny bit on each side. I think I missed that one at the end. It moved on me. But anyway, that's all you do. And so that creates your pockets on the sides, okay? Now, the next thing you're going to do, I may as well leave this up here. You're going to create your hinges, okay? Hinges there's so many ways to make them. I'm looking for a piece of paper here. Here we go. Let's use this white here. Now I have a hinge right down here. No. I think I'll stick with the white. Okay, for these pages, you can see that this is a creamier white envelope. This is, as you can see, going to be a smaller album. So your hinge, what I do is I make sure to have my hinge shorter than my page. That way when I lay down my cover paper to go over it, then it usually hides your hinge. okay, no matter what kind of hinge you use. So that's a good tip to remember. So, you know, I don't make my hinges as long as my pages for that reason. Okay. And then you usually want at least, I usually do like, oh, let's see, I don't know, let me measure. You want at least a 1/2 inch of a hinge on each side. Okay. Now I'm just telling you this instead of an exact measurement because you may want to do a gusset on your hinge. You may choose to have no gusset or a gusset. So let me show you the difference in that. So if I want a 1/2 inch on each side, that's at an inch already. Okay, so my hinge needs to be at least an inch. I never have done that small of a hinge. So I normally do at least 1.5 inch. Okay, so I'm going to cut it at 1.5. All right. And then, like I said, I don't make it as long as the page. And this page, let's see, I believe I said these were 5 1/4. All right. So you want this to be, we'll measure it by this, and then we'll give you the measurement. I come down about, let's say, 1/4 of an inch at least. Okay, so there. So 5 inches would make, let's see, 5 1/4, no, 4 3/4 is probably what you're going to want it to be. 4 3/4 is right about, let's see, I hate how they have these right on this thing here, you can hardly see. Okay, 4 3/4 is right there. So we're going to cut it at 4 3/4 in length. Okay. Put this away, grab the scoreboard, or however you score your stuff. Now on the album that I did, I just did a simple no gusset hinge. Okay, I just scored it right down the center. So this is 1.5, so I need to score it at at 3/4, I believe it is. No. Yes. Sorry, I have to think. This board is useless, really. Okay, so 1/2 of 1.5. Is 3/4. Okay, just double checking myself here. So at 3/4 of an inch is where you make your score line. If you're just going to do a flat hinge, what I call a flat hinge. Okay. Now, if you wanted to do a gusset with some, a wide gusset on it, then you would score it on each side of that about a 1/4 inch. So that would be, let's see, let me grab my pencil here and just mark it for you. Okay, so you would score it at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5/8 and 7/8. Okay, I marked it right here. This is the center, and then that's 5/8 and 7/8, and that's how you would score it if you wanted a gusset on here. You wouldn't score the one in the middle. You would just score the 7/8, and you would score the 5/8, and that would give you a 1/4 inch gusset. Okay, and that's really all the most you'll need for a book of this size. Alright, you don't want it to be any larger than that. Now this is your choice, so you can either use a gusset, okay, hinge, or you can use what I call a flat hinge with no gusset. See the difference? Okay, and of course you're going to want to know that as many as of these hinges you use, that's the width. It's going to make your book wider by this amount, no matter what you put in the book. You're going to always have to remember this width, because it's going to add that much at least to your book. Okay, but I use just a simple flat hinge. So let me press this out. I don't know why. I really am going to get me a new board. This one seems to always go crooked on me. It's the beatenest thing I've ever seen. I really have become to hate it. Okay. Alrighty. Getting it nice and flat. And just like any other hinge, you have to join it with something to your pages. I simply just use red line tape. I don't use anything for page joining other than red line, because I don't trust any other tape. I've made albums before I started using just the red line, and over time they pull apart due to heat and climate change, and even in controlled environment like your house. So I only use red line now. That's all I use. And I would suggest you do the same, or either something better than that, whatever that would be. I don't know of anything better. So if you do, maybe you can drop me a line and enlighten me. And then I just trim it off evenly. Okay, and with this size of a hinge, I have to use my 1/2 inch and then my 1/4 inch tape. Otherwise, the 1/2 inch, of course, is too much, and just using 1/4 inch tape is wasteful. So I use the 1/2 and the 1/4 to be more cost effective and less aggravating too. You don't have to it doesn't take as long to do it. And then if you have the inch, happen to have the larger one, then you just have to lay it down accordingly. Okay, and then I take my bone folder, especially when I'm doing red line tape, and I be sure everything's nice and pressed out. That the glue is really adhered nicely, because you can see the little white bubbles under there. And if you go ahead and work those out, then you know your tape is not going anywhere. It's going to stay right there, stuck to that page. Okay. And here is your first hinge. Okay. And then, excuse me, then this hinge. Let me real quick grab this book. I only have the one that I did. I gave my other one to my sister. This one hasn't made it to my sister yet, and so I only have it to reference to for you. I'm sorry to say. I told my husband yesterday, this is why I do not get rid of my albums. I don't sell, well, when I make one to give away, that's different, but I don't sell them, because if I'm afraid if I do, I'll never remember how that I made them. This particular book, I made it with only the back hinge attached to the book cover. Okay, so only the back of it is attached, and this one is attached differently because it is a paper bag album. But even if it weren't, still I attached the other one the same way with one hinge. Now you only see the paper bag, but this would be the hinge. Okay, and I'm trying to remember how I did the back. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and show you this one. I might have to do another video to show you how I attach the back, because I can't remember. I may have to call my sister and make sure, because I don't want to tell you wrong. But what you do is you remove the backing from one side of the tape on one side of the hinge. I'm getting a hold of it. Sorry for the confusion. Now this is going to go, this is the front page, so I'm going to flip it over here. I'm going to flip it over and turn it upside down, and I'm going to put my hinge on here, okay? I'm going to be sure I do it right on the edge of the envelope. Don't see, do not want to see any envelope. You want it flush, okay? And then you press that down nicely. You can use your bone folder, your fingers, whatever. Just be sure that it's adhered well. And you notice that I did not remove this piece here yet, so I do that for a reason. On larger pages, it makes it easier to be sure everything's nice and straight. It doesn't grab it all at once. And I just grab it and pull it away like so. And then I always, there's a piece of plastic. I always start in the middle and press outward on everything I do when I'm building my pages and stuff. I do. Alright, so your next envelope will fit here the same way. So you're going to take envelope number 2 and you're going to do the same things over again. You're going to glue down this part. So this way we're getting a repeat of what we did from the beginning. Okay, and close that, seal it. Make sure that the edge is sealed. I just, like I said, I pinch mine closed. Be sure it's certainly in half at the top here where I'm pinching it at, like that. I'll make me a crease. Pull out my scoreboard and I line it up with that and score it. I'm going through 2 layers there, so don't forget. Actually going through 3 layers at a point. Okay, and you're going to burnish that out. So fold it over. Be sure everything's nice and even. Because even when you score things, sometimes they have a tendency, especially with envelopes, to slip around on you. Because they have their own way they want to go, and you have to make it go the way you want it to go. So you have to be careful with that. So finger press it. Finger pressing is the best way to make sure you get it where you want it, and then you burnish it. Most of the time I do finger press everything. Very seldom something falls out perfectly and I don't have to. Alright. Then don't forget, before, unless you want to use your scissors later, before you join this down, take it to your cutter. If you're going to do both sides at once, be careful not to overdo it. The pages won't be quite even if you take too much off or whatever. You want them to be even. So you just want to take a slither off of them. A little section there slid away from me. And trim that little piece. There we go. So you want both of them to be open. Whoops. And if it's not, instead of taking it to the color, I just trimmed a tiny bit that's left. And if your envelope is doing this right here, your piece, the side piece comes loose, glue that down. Take some glue on your finger, some wet glue, or like you can also do this if you don't want to use wet glue. Let me show you quickly. You can pull it out like this and put some glue on it. Right here. You do not want this coming loose, and you don't want to pull it off because it gives you some strength on your page that you wouldn't normally have. Okay, and then it glues it right down in place. And then this little bit of glue here that's over, you can wipe it off, or you can just go ahead and put your, cover your page. So whatever you prefer. Okay, but that'll take care of that issue. All right. So you have your envelope ready. You've got your other one over here. Now, remember, this is the front. We're doing the second page. We're laying down the second one. So we're going to remove the backing from the hinge side, from the binding. I'm sorry, the binding side. And leave that little piece on. You can hold it in place better. See. and keep it from popping open and it grabbing the envelope in the wrong spot. It just is very handy. And line the two up perfectly. Perfect. This here you want as perfect as possible. This may be the only perfection in your album, but this needs to be as close to perfect as you'll ever know. Okay? Line them up and press it out. So now you have 4 pages of your album ready. Okay? And then just pull the edge of that little corner up and grab that backing and just pull it away like I told you before, like that. Lay it flat, start from the center and press out. Don't want any bubbles, you don't want it going lopsided on you. Will really mess up your pages. Okay? So that gives you 4 pages of your album. I believe I used 4 envelopes per book. So you would do this again. The process we just did, you would do that once more. So you'd have 2 more envelopes and 1 more hinge to make your 4 pages. Your front page is not going to have a hinge. Your back page will. And then you'll make, okay, so let me repeat myself. You're going to do this once more. 2 more envelopes, 1 more hinge. And that will create another one of these. Okay, so that's what I call a page set. And then at the very end, you're going to do 1 more hinge to join your book to your book cover. So their last hinge will be joining your book to your book cover. This is your book cover. Whether you choose to use chipboard, this is just a really heavy textured, trying to think of the name of this company. It's a very heavy textured cardstock that they have. It's really heavy. I mean, it's like a thin chipboard. It's really thick. Basil puts it out. And so you can either use something nice and heavy like that, because this is made a beautiful cover. I like it more than chipboard, actually, especially for sliding inside of a box like this one does. Okay. This book actually will be sitting on top of the box, but really that doesn't make a difference if you want to use the thicker chipboard. I mean the thicker cardstock. It will hold up nicely, I think. So this book is horizontal. This book will end up to be vertical, of course. You know, it sits like this. And of course, it opens this way, you know, instead of the way this one does. This book slides into the box. This book sits on top of the box. That's the difference in these 2 albums. Okay? So I'm going to come back and do another video on binding the envelopes to the box. In the meantime, you can go ahead and do this and start work on your pages. I have videos uploaded already to show how I started working on the pages of the album, how I created them for this particular album, and I'll be back to show you more later. Okay? Thanks for watching. Thanks for purchasing my kits. Thanks for your support.